Coming up on Roland Unfiltered for Monday, July 15th, 2019. Donald Trump and his racist tweets. He attacks 4 women in Congress, all sisters of color. He says, I'm not a racist. You a damn lie. We shall deconstruct all of it. Also, Sheila Bynum Coleman makes a run for Speaker of the Virginia House after a gerrymandering case in her district. She'll join us live to discuss this and the impact of gerrymandering on the nation's politics. Also, mysterious death of the founder of the Baton Rouge African American Museum sends shockwaves through the black community and the entire city of Baton Rouge. We'll hear from the mayor as well as a state representative who I talked to this morning on the Tom Joyner Morning Show. James Field Jr., the white supremacist who drove his car through a protest in Charlottesville, sentenced to more time. Yo punk ass not getting out of jail. The security guard in Ohio pulls out a gun on a black uniformed cop. Yo, seriously. You might be black and blue, but you still black. In the Montgomery County, Maryland Police Department, they've released body cam footage of a white female officer using the N-word during an arrest. Wonder if she still has her job. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time. And it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
All right, folks, Donald Trump doing what Donald Trump does, and that is be a white nationalist. This is what he tweeted, folks, over the weekend. Speaking about the 4 women of color who are freshmen in the United States Congress, he had some things to say about them that ticked off a whole lot of people. First, he said, so interesting to see progressive Democratic congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt, and inept anywhere in the world, if they even have a functioning government at all. Now loudly, next, and viciously telling the people of the United States, the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how our government is to be run. Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Then come back and show us how it's done. These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy to quickly work out free travel arrangements. Now, let's just be clear. So you how much of a dumbass Donald Trump is. 3 of the 4 women he's talking about, they're from here. Like, when I say from here, like from here, as in raised here, as in born here. So if they're going to go back to a country, they are already in the country they can go back to. Now, of course, he was immediately lit up by folks on social media, Democrats as well, but it was quite interesting. The length of silence that existed from Republicans. It was as if they were in such shock and awe that they did not know how to tweet or appear on Sunday shows or respond to the racist and bigoted tweets. Now, after they got their ass lit up this morning, all of a sudden, they discovered their conscience. And so, Will Hurd, Texas, the only Republican in the House. This is him on CNN.
The tweets are racist and xenophobic. They're also inaccurate because the 4 women he's referring to are folks that have grown up, they're U.S. citizens. It's behavior that's unbecoming of a president of the United States and a leader of the free world. We should talk about uniting people and not dividing us. And ultimately, politically, it's hurtful. You are having a civil war going on within the Democratic Party, and now they've all circled the wagons and are protecting one another, right? So that's my thoughts, and unfortunately,
Now, other Republicans had something to say. Can we pull those tweets up, please? They began to comment and all of a sudden began to show themselves. Again, it took them a really, really, really long time to say something. So I'm going to pull up some of them as well. First of all, what I thought was funny was Britt Hume of Fox News actually tweeting that, yeah, xenophobic, not good, politically stupid, but the textbook definition, they do not define racist. Dude, really? Really? All right, let me pull up some of the other tweets. Do we have those? Pull them up, please. The other Republicans, again, what they had to say. And so Senator Tim Scott, the only African-American Republican in the United States Senate, he finally woke the hell up. He said, no matter our political disagreements, aiming for the lowest common denominator will only divide our nation further. My full statement below, please pull up his statement, which he clearly wrote on his iPhone in the notes section. I'm familiar with it because I've done it as well. Now, don't you love how he starts off talking about the Democrats before he gets to Donald Trump? In fact, he goes through all kind of crap before he gets to Trump. He wrote, prior to this weekend, we saw the Democratic Party embroiled in racial controversy, from Kamala Harris attacking Joe Biden on segregationists to 4 black and brown women chastising Democratic leadership for attacking women of color. It is clear the Democratic Party has serious issues along these lines. Dog, really? Your party. All y'all missing are hoods. Go back to the statement. All right. Instead of sharing how the Democratic Party far left pro-socialist policies, not to mention the hateful language some of their members have used towards law enforcement and Jews, are wrong for the future of our nation, then he finally gets to his damn president. The president interjected with unacceptable personal attacks and racially offensive language. No matter our political disagreements, aiming for the lowest common denominator will only divide our nation further. That's the best you can do. A black man from South Carolina. That's the best you can do. Okay, y'all, pull up some of the other Republicans. I want to show you what they also had to say. Again, you had you have a number of them. That's all you have? Y'all supposed to pull several others. Okay, well, that's all you have, and we're supposed to have more. So let me try to go to my iPad to pull those up. Because it was real interesting, again, looking at them finally waking up to comment. You have a guy from Mike Turner. Okay, he writes, Ohio, I'm confident that every member of Congress is a committed American. Donald Trump's tweets from this weekend were racist, and he should apologize. We must work as a country to rise above hate, not enable it. But no, Mike, all of your party are not going to say something. I mentioned Will Hurd. Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, she said there's no excuse for the president's spiteful comments. They were absolutely unacceptable, and this needs to stop. A little bit more than spiteful. We have enough challenges addressing the humanitarian crisis both at our borders and around the world. Instead of digging deeper into the mud with personal vindictive insults, we must demand a higher standard of decorum and decency. You're talking about Trump. Right. That's going to be a little hard because he has no decency or morals or values. Let's see here. Okay, Susan Collins, trying the same Tim Scott crap. I disagree strongly with many of the views and comments of some of the far-left members of the House Democratic Caucus, especially when it comes to their views on socialism, their anti-Semitic rhetoric, and their negative comments about law enforcement. But the president's tweet that some members of Congress should go back to the places from which they came was, okay, way over the line. Really? Again, y'all see the pattern. Let's talk about the other party before we get to actually Donald Trump. Let's see, we got Tim Scott, Representative Elise Stefanik. While I strongly disagree with the tactics, policies, and rhetoric of the far-left socialist squad, y'all notice the socialist line? Okay. The president's tweets were inappropriate, denigrating, and wrong. It is unacceptable to tell legal U.S. citizens to go back to their home country. Then you have Pete Olson of Texas. He tweeted, the tweet President Trump posted over the weekend about fellow members of Congress are not reflective of the values of the 1 million plus people in Texas 22. We are proud to be the most diverse congressional district in America. I urge our president immediately to disavow his comments. Did not want to call them racist, as you see. Fred Upton, frankly, I'm appalled by the president's tweets. There's no excuse. Inflammatory rhetoric from both sides. Here we go, that both sides bullshit again. Both sides of the aisle that is used to divide us just isn't right. It's not helpful. We have too many challenges facing us that we ought to be working on together. Immigration, the debt ceiling, the border crisis. The president's tweets were flat out wrong and uncalled for, and I would encourage my colleagues from both parties to stop talking so much and start governing more. Then you have Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania. President Trump was wrong to suggest that 4 left-wing think congresswomen should go back to where they came from. 3 of the 4 were born in America, and the citizenship of all 4 is as valid as mine. I couldn't disagree more with these congresswomen's views on immigration, socialism, national security, and virtually every policy issue, but they are entitled to their opinions, however misguided they may be. We should defeat their ideas on the merits, not on the basis of their ancestry. Okay, all right. And let's see here. Anybody else? Mitt Romney. I certainly feel a number of these new members of Congress have views that are not consistent with my experience and not consistent with building a strong America. That's all your sorry ass had to say? But then again, you're the man who held a big old speech but during the presidential campaign, calling out Donald Trump. And then, of course, when he wins, you decided to go dine with him while he embarrassed your ass when it came to be Secretary of State. What actually happened to the Republican Party? Did they actually lose their guts, really? Or did something just get sort of lopped off when Trump became president? I'm just saying. And then, of course, I got to find the video in a second. Okay, this is the second half of Mitt Romney's comments. At the same time, I recognize that the president has a unique and y'all, he actually said this here. At the same time, I recognize that the president has a unique and noble calling to unite all Americans, regardless of our creeds or race or place of our national origin. And I think in that case, the president fell far short. That's what we call a punk-ass statement right there. And then we have Chip Roy. POTUS was wrong to say any American citizen, whether in Congress or not, has any home besides the U.S., but I just as strongly believe non-citizens who abuse our immigration laws, whatever. I don't want to hear that. Okay, and so that's what you have going on there. So finally, they are waking up and actually saying something. I'm gonna try to find this comment from Lindsey Graham. He was actually asked about this on Fox and Friends, and what he chose to do is really punk out and basically call them communists. That's literally what he did. That was his response to the very issue. Again, you now understand sort of the mindset, which is one of the reasons why he should be defeated. So I think, check this out. Go to my iPad.
We all know that AOC and this crowd are a bunch of communists. They hate Israel. They hate our own country. They're calling the guards along our border, the Border Patrol agents, concentration camp guards. They accuse people who support Israel of doing it for the Benjamins. They're anti-Semitic. They're anti-America. Don't get down. Aim higher. We don't need to know anything about them personally. Talk about their policy. We all know.
Literally, that was his answer to that. What they showed you that Senator Lindsey Graham was a fraud and a fake the whole time Senator John McCain was alive, because he was simply cowering behind McCain, trying to draft off of him. Now that Senator McCain is dead, you thought that Senator Graham would step up and be a man and actually have some leadership. But instead, what he's chosen to do is kiss Donald Trump's ass. He played golf with him yesterday with Senator Rand Paul because he doesn't have any guts to say what is right. Now, Newt Gingrich, always give it up to him, because you know what he did? He went on Fox and Friends and said that Donald Trump's comments are politically good for him. That's really what this whole thing boils down to. So let me unpack or deconstruct really what this whole thing is all about. Donald Trump, folks, is speaking to the white fear of a changing America. Ocasio-Cortez, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, and Ilhan Omar, they represent the future makeup of America. And his base hates that. By 2043, America's going to be a nation majority of people of color. Trust me, don't think for a second he's not fully aware of what buttons he's pushing. And you may say, really, Roland, white fear? Yeah. Ask John Avlon on CNN. He and I were talking one day before we went on the air one day, and we were off to the side, and I said, John, we are about, this was the election of Obama after he was inaugurated. I said, we are now looking at the beginning of what I call white minority resistance. That is, even though whites comprise a majority in America, they are operating as if they are in a minority because of what we're going to see in 24 years. As I said, I've been saying this for consistently since 2009. Said on CNN, said it on TV One, said it on the Tom Joyner Morning Show, on MSNBC, ABC. I would say it on Fox News, but they won't call a brother like me, likely because they know exactly how I roll. And frankly, it's time for white journalists and white media executives to wake up. Now, what white media journalists and media executives need to do is take off their blinders about Donald Trump and race. In fact, if you look at the New York Times, they won't even call his comments racist. They literally are afraid to even say the word. Now, let's go back to when he launched his campaign. How did he start? Rapist from Mexico. Shithole countries, Haiti, Africa. refusing to apologize to the Central Park Five. Yeah. And see, here's what he does. He touts the First Step Act to say, I like black people. The reality is, Donald Trump has a white nationalist view. Remember last week, Meghan McCain on The View? She said Donald Trump supporters hate what he hates. Well, guess what? He gives them permission to unleash their inner hatred. And folks, this is no different. And media is complicit for not speaking the truth on this. I keep telling you, by 2043, America is going to be a nation majority people of color. Majority Hispanic, black, Asian, Native American, and other. Whites will be 47% of the country, minorities 53% of the country. Don't get it twisted, folks. This is what is driving the conversation. When you hear white economic anxiety, first of all, the white family has median income higher than any other group. If there's anybody who should be economically anxious, are broke-ass people. Black people, Latinos, others. But see, this white fear is driving the GOP's policies, and Donald Trump knows it. And does this mean all white Americans have white fear? Nope. But the fear is of changing values, direction, and priorities. Let me put a pin in that. Because see, again, I need you to understand what I am saying. America has been led, governed, and shaped through a white prism. Rights weren't given to blacks and others. We had to fight and petition for them. If you're white, you're born with all your rights. You haven't had to have laws changed. If America saw black folks and others as true Americans, there would be no need for the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, also known as the Reconstruction Amendments. There'd be no need for the 1866, the 1871, the 1875, the 1957, the 1960, 1964, 1968, 1991 Civil Rights Acts. Take a walk through American history, folks. White immigrants endured some resistance and bigotry from other white immigrants who are already here, but then they all got together and said, you know what, we all white, they black, and they linked together with their white cultural identity, eventually meshing and accepting one another. But see, we've always been in the other category. Now, again, unpacking this, what Donald Trump is doing is giving voice to what was pushed out of public voice into the deep recesses of the home and minds. Remember Robert E. Lee, after the Civil War, told his troops to furl the rebel flag. It was missing from American life for 3 generations. When did the Confederate flag reemerge? In 1948, when the Democrats, in a very small way, put a civil rights part in their party plank. The racist Dixiecrats got real upset, held their own conference in Mississippi, and guess what they pulled out of the attic? The Confederate flag. Now remember, this all happened after Republican Herbert Hoover led the Lily White movement on the Republican Party. Then you had that violent racist Democrat, Woodrow Wilson, who embraced the birth of a nation. The history of America can be marked based on white fear and attacks on people of color. And what is typically the driving force? Culture and economics. Guess what's always used as an excuse? Crime. Portray minorities as stains on American due to crime. Just check Donald Trump's tweet. Pull the tweet up, please. What did he reference? The crime in these nations. Pull the tweet up. Here's what it says. Right there. Okay? Worst, most corrupt, and end up anywhere in the world. Next. Come on, next. Right there. Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? What Donald Trump is saying is code. What he is saying is these others, they are criminals. And that's where you come from. That's what he was trying to say there. Folks, this racism formed the basis of his presidential run. But here's the key. This is nothing more than his 2020 re-election plan. What did he say in 2016? Only I can fix this. The same racist playbook Nixon ran on in 1968. Oh, Nixon tossed the black folks an economic bone. That's what James Brown stood with Nixon. Trump today touts the black unemployment rate as his racist cover for white fear. Folks, as we stand here to fully explain Donald Trump's worldview and playing to white fear, I think of this scene. How many of y'all remember the movie The Good Shepherd? Starring Matt Damon, Joe Pesci? In The Good Shepherd, Matt Damon plays an early CIA officer, and he seeks the help from Italian mobster Joe Pesci. Now, they don't like each other, but they need each other because they have a common enemy. If you want to understand white fear in America, if you want to understand Donald Trump's go back tweet, if you want to understand the history of America in terms of whites seeing everyone else as others, watch this.
Let me ask you something. We Italians, we got our families and we got the church. The Irish, they have the homeland. The Jews, their tradition. Even the niggers, they got their music. What about you people, Mr. Carlson? What do you have?
The United States of America. The rest of you are just visiting.
That 29-second scene explains white America and the rest of us. And the fear is that we're no longer just visiting. Folks, it's time white journalists woke up the hell up, because trust me, this ain't going away. This is going to survive Trump. This is going to continue far past 2043. And folks need to understand exactly what is going on in this nation. Let's go to our panel right now. Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeaver, political analyst, leadership strategist. Also, Dr. Julianne Malvolo, economist, president emerita, Bennett College, as well as Eugene Craig, CEO, Eugene Craig Organization. Eugene, you're Republican, your party, filled with a bunch of cowards, absolutely afraid to question this man. They had to be forced to do so after about 24 or so hours because they literally had no choice because it was clearly racist. Before we go there, there was even a news conference today where a crazy man literally said, I'm not racist. Not I. How dare you? I got it.
I didn't mention names, and I didn't do that, but I will tell you, with our country, and I think everybody in this audience, these are great manufacturers, great workers in our audience, too. They brought a lot of their workers here. If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. And that's what I say all the time. That's what...
Okay, I'm going to come back to it. If you're not happy here, you can leave. Didn't his punk ass criticize Obama during the 8 years? Did he leave? What's even more embarrassing? The punk ass is clapping in the audience to the stupid statement. Press play.
What I said in a tweet, which I guess some people think is controversial. A lot of people love it, by the way. A lot of people love it. But if you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now.
Stop it right there. He does know there's a thing called the First Amendment, which allows for you to protest, allows for you to assemble, allows for you to critique. No, he can't read. Go ahead and press play.
Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay, too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
But these are Americans.
Well, that's just a very racist statement, somebody that would say that. So Speaker Pelosi said, make America white again. Let me tell you, that's a very racist statement. I'm surprised she'd say that. John, go ahead.
Eugene.
He definitely tried to pull the old conservative trope. I'm not the racist. You're the racist. There's a lot to unpack there. I'll do a quick rapid fire. Will Hurt, stepped up per usual. He's usually the first to call out the president on a lot of these things without having to be asked to. I am very shocked and disappointed in Tim Scott's statement. Literally 2 years ago, this is the same person that stood on the floor of the Senate and, gave his encounter of being a black U.S. senator, not a black man, a black U.S. senator in the D.C. metro area. And for him to equivocate criticism of law enforcement to the president coming in and giving very blatant racist statements is beyond disappointing. What you're seeing here is not atypical at this point of elected Republican members of Congress in the U.S. Senate, especially folk that are for re-election, like Lindsey Graham, to either not seriously criticize the president, call out his racist statements. But what I think is also more damaging and damning is to try to equivocate socialism or try to call, the squad anti-Semitic because they disagree with the racist Netanyahu administration in Israel. They're not saying they hate Jews or hate the Israeli people, but it's not anti-American, it's not anti-Semitic to criticize Israel. The state of Israel, the government of Israel.
Julian, not one white conservative evangelical has said a word, no shock. If you go back and read or watch our reading of Frederick Douglass' July 4th speech, the biggest criticism he had in there was for the white church.
Yes.
You go back and read that, and then you can see present day. Trust me, they're both associated. Go ahead.
And read the letter from the Birmingham jail, in which Dr. King also called out the church, the so-called Christians who are not Christian. I want to, Roland, go back to 1918, to the lynching of Mary Turner. Mary Turner was a black woman whose husband was lynched, and she said that she was going to hold people accountable. And when they said that she
Eugene, turn your damn phone off, Eugene.
Really, dude. I'm trying to talk.
If you're going to play with your phone on the show, turn the volume down first.
It was a mistake.
Then play with your phone.
Yeah, especially I'm
Julian's, don't talk because your ass is done before. Don't act like don't start trying to front Eugene. Yeah, I do have a point. Now finish your point.
Okay, Roland. You know I love you anyway.
She gonna try to pile on Eugene when you've done before. Go on.
Okay.
Keep going.
Mary Turner lynched because she was mouthy. Because she was a mouthy black woman who was going to hold white people accountable for lynching her husband. What the punishment for black women being mouthy has been lynching or worse, as in Sandra Bland, as in others. And so these 4 women of color, amazing women who I admire, did what Democrats do. Let's be clear. What Democrats do. Dissent is the foundation of a democratic society. So they and Pelosi are dusting up. Ain't no biggie. That's what Democrats do all the time. But the orange orangutan gets into it because he feels like he has something to say, which is nothing. The difference between Democrats and Republicans is that Republicans have sworn, they put their hands on the Bible of the orangutan, and they've sworn fealty to him. And no matter what he does, as he said, he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, and he thinks it's okay. But in the image of Mary Turner, of Shirley Chisholm, and of others, we must stand behind these women and also call this idiot to task for this. Yes, it's racist. I mean, so many of us have been told. I used to do radio in San Francisco, and whenever I said something that stupid people didn't like, go back to Africa, I'd be like, send me tickets. Just send me tickets. Somebody did. They sent me a one-way ticket. I said, if you send me the round trip, I'll use it. But, this is what people do when black people have something to say about the faults of this country, faults that they acknowledged when they wrote this Constitution. Ask John Adams.
Avis, I'm not shocked at all by Donald Trump did. I'm not pissed off by it. Follow me here. I use this as motivation for what the focus has to be. It's to throw him the hell out of office. Because there is no bottom. There's no such thing as Donald Trump has hit rock bottom. No. He will go lower, and he will go lower. You cannot shame him. And he says what he wants to say. Folks, they fall into it. These white executives in media play it up big time. And so the only way to get rid of this cancer is to organize, mobilize, or throw him the hell out.
Absolutely. I mean, he is what he is. All he did was put on display even more blatantly who he is. He is racist. This is no surprise. We've known this from day one. But it's, and as you've said, this is a trope that we all know is a racist trope. I mean, the first time somebody said that to me, I was probably 6 years old. I mean, we know what that means.
Yeah, we know what it says. Go back to where you came from.
Absolutely.
We've all heard that.
We've all heard that.
That's the one white folks racist white folks always use that one. And it's just like, really, that's the one y'all want to use?
Absolutely.
It's the second one of you affirmative action hire. So we know all the phrases.
We know them all. And 9 times out of 10, my family been here longer than your family.
Hello.
Come on, let's get real.
Because he ain't from here.
What I want to, he's not. That's what I'm getting ready to say.
And we damn sure know his wife not here. From here.
How long has his wife been here? How long has his mother been here? Was he even born in the United States? Let's just think about that for a minute. He projects every damn thing else. Now, I'm just, wondering about that. So we know who he is. We know he's racist, and we know that he's specifically targeting these black women because, as you mentioned, what they hate most are black women who are free. Black women who will say what they have to say. And quite frankly...
Yeah, they ain't never been able to black men or black women who are free.
Well, that's true, but I mean free-minded. And
that's what I'm saying.
I will also say it's not all Democrats that have the courage to speak up.
Yeah.
I really, honestly, I really feel like Nancy Pelosi gave him the courage to come out here and do this. And I think she has some culpability in this.
Oh, I agree.
And I also think that her tweet was weak. The only thing that she mentioned in her tweet was about xenophobia. She did not mention that this was a racist tweet. And let me tell you, he's never criticized illegal white immigrants, and there are plenty of them, tens of thousands of them. And so this was a racist statement, not just a xenophobic statement. And she needs to say that.
And in fact, this was Nancy Pelosi's tweet. When Donald Trump tells 4 American congresswomen to go back to their countries, he reaffirms his plan to make America great again has always been about making America white again. Our diversity is our strength and our unity is our power. Anyway.
You know what the problem here, just a sec, because the thing about this is we built this sucker.
Absolutely.
We built this sucker. That MF would not, excuse my language, MF would not, Marilyn Farmer would not have a White House if it had not been for the labor of enslaved people.
Okay, first of all, undocumented workers work on his damn golf courses, his winery, and he's been using them for all his time.
And exploiting
And he's playing these dumb, ignorant, MAGA red hat wearing fools. And I'm like, y'all, he playing y'all. His daughter, all her stuff ain't made in America.
No, all his stuff is made.
She get all kind of patents in China.
His Make America Great hats are made in China.
That's how dumb they are. But again, but they're falling for this nonsense because in the history of America, when broke white folks had economic problems, they did not blame everybody else. Who do they blame? Black people.
Yeah.
But also on the West Coast. Who do they blame in the late 1900s? The damn Chinese people.
Yep.
Okay? You can trace American history.
Yep.
When white folks have economic problems, they lash out. We talked about it before. The reason Tulsa got burned down because white folks did not like the amount of money they were making.
Yep.
In Memphis, same thing with lynching. Eugene, it's one after another. We can go back to the 1980s when they passed the initial proposition in California. Okay, they targeted, I forgot the number, targeted legal immigrants. I'll never forget, Molly Ivins wrote a column. She said, y'all, it ain't because of them. It's because of base closures in the whole state of California. But that's what we've always seen. This targeting of people of color when white folks are unsettled because of economics. And the problem now, Eugene, they're now literally saying, like, damn, oh my God, this is the most diverse Congress. What? You got 2 Muslim women, and you got that Muslim dude, Andre Carson. We had 2 Muslims before. Keith Ellison became Attorney General in Minnesota. Damn, now we came back with 3. Like, what happened? They don't know what to do.
Yeah, right, the hijab.
And one wears a hijab. So the thing is this, right? To Avis's point, Nancy Pelosi is actually the only person that can actually really do something about this, and that's impeach 45. And she doesn't want to go down that path, but she's going to end up being forced to go down that path. But this country absolutely has always blamed the other. It's one of the reasons why the work that Dr. Barber's doing is so important to, somewhat wake up poor white folk up that, look, your economic situation isn't because of brown people or tan people or black people. It's because of other white people.
Yeah.
This is, again, I need everybody to understand. You can't just make this about Donald Trump.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, this is white fear.
Yep.
And I'm going to close this out so I can get you to understand what you're dealing with here. When I talked about morals and values and culture, okay? When you hear Ocasio-Cortez, or when you hear Presley, or you hear Ilhan Omar, or Rashida Tlaib, when you hear them talking about how we view the American flag. See, white folks have been raised. It's the flag. Oh, my God. Wrap yourself in it. Oh, my God, the glory of the flag. But see, for us, we also know the flag has been used for oppression. And so our view is different. What you have to understand is how America was created. How that whites have been trained to view America. As Jackie Robinson said, I ain't saluting that flag. I ain't standing for that flag. And folks said, well, what's wrong with him? He served in the military. That's the real deal here. The reason the Colin Kaepernick case was so controversial, because he had an alternative view of the national anthem and the flag. That's what I mean by culture. What I mean by culture, folks, is that the beauty standard in America has been a white, blonde, blue-eyed woman. Now the problem is, damn, we got to consider other people. Okay, they already pissed off, you know. Look, it ain't even like a new thing now to see a black Miss America. Because, hell, what we were on, about 8, 9 by now? They don't know what to do. Okay? All right? Why do you think it was such a visceral reaction with Tiger in golf? Serena in tennis? Because you had black folks who are now going into typically white spaces, and they're now succeeding. That's what's going on here. So when I talk about this worldview, that's the real issue. The worldview is changing. This nation has been constructed through a white prism. Now, it now has to be seen through a black prism, through a Latino prism, through a Muslim prism, through a female prism. It was a nation that was built for white male landowners to have power. It's in the documents, y'all. All you got to do is read. And so, don't think, oh, and this is why Joe Biden is wrong as hell. Joe Biden thinks, oh, defeat Trump, we go back to normal. That's the problem, Joe. We ain't trying to go back to normal. Because we've known normal for 400 years. And that bullshit ain't work for us. Going to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about another piece that ties into this notion of white fear, political gerrymandering, and its impact on state elections, and how, if we're able to break the backs of it, it changes state politics, not just the nation's capital. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Back in a moment. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. Loud. All right, folks, Virginia, in Virginia, the 66th district map has been redrawn after a case of racial gerrymandering was presented to the Supreme Court. Now, again, Virginia is one of those places. You've had Wisconsin, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. Then, of course, the Supreme Court chose to kick it down back to the lower court and not really rule on that. Now, for the first time in a long time, the district in Virginia reflects the Democratic voters who live there. Now, in Virginia, the Speaker of the House of Delegates is Republican Kirk Cox. He's been in that district 29 years. He's going to have what has been called his toughest race in decades. Running against him is Sheila Bynum Coleman, who joins us right now. Glad to have you here. First off, let's talk about, again, you're running against somebody who's been in power for quite some time. But the gerrymandering issue, which the Supreme Court pretty much is now allowed, even though they haven't fully ruled, has an impact because that's how Republicans have been able to maintain control all across the South through racial gerrymandering. And that's why people in North Carolina were stupid, the folks who sued, because they sued on political gerrymandering, which the Supreme Court ruled in their favor. They should listen to Reverend William Barber and sued on racial gerrymandering. Idiots. But again, that's what Virginia is dealing with. Republicans been able to maintain power because of political gerrymandering.
Exactly. So the district changed about 32 points. The district that I lived in previously, it literally is like over the river, through the woods to get the voters, right? So it was 4 localities, and it cut out most of the Democratic and all of the African American popular groups of people. And so this district, after it's been redrawn by the special maps master, looks like a circle around the district. So the people who live in the neighborhood next to me, who go to the grocery store, we're all in the same district now, which is important, but it also is going to change the balance of power in our state government, which is important and something that people need to pay attention to, because this election is so important, not just to 2019, but also 2020 and beyond, because as people say, so goes Virginia, so goes the nation. But what's powerful about this is that we're now in a place where the people can choose their legislator as opposed to the legislators choosing their voters.
What's your plan to take down somebody who's been in power for almost 30 years?
I'm out in the community going door to door from all day long, and I'm talking to the people in the community. I'm doing everything I can to raise awareness. And this weekend I was out in the district knocking on doors, and you'd be surprised at how many people are actually excited to actually have a voice, because no one's ever knocked on their door before, because they've been in a district that was racially gerrymandered. They were all packed into one district, and it was safe to whoever was representing them, so that no one ever had to engage with them or speak to them. So my best foot forward is to go door to door and talk to people and communicate with the people in the district. And that's what we were doing.
Again, what you're dealing with is, because the Republicans only they got a very slim lead, just one seat. And of course, that was decided by the flip of a coin when there was literally a tie race in 2018.
2017.
2017.
Yes. And, you know, we have a record number of people running, and we also have a lot of minorities that are running, not just for the state, but locally. So, you know, we're starting to move things forward in Virginia. People are starting to wake up, pay attention, get involved. And so it's very important to our nation as a whole that we no longer have a state that's racially gerrymandered, where we're packing black people into a few districts and diluting their voice. So we're working really hard to engage with our community, and I can tell you, Martin, that it's been so exciting and so inspiring. And one thing that I think that our lawmakers are missing is that because he's been in a district where it's been safe for him, he hasn't had to deal with the issues and talk about policy. And when the governor called for a special session and our lawmakers decided not to do anything, the Speaker of the House was the one in control of that. And so when you have represented a district that's 1/3 African American and gun violence is plaguing our community, I don't know how you can sleep at night and say that you didn't do anything to address gun violence in your district. I mean, when I was out knocking on doors, I was in an apartment complex, and literally every building that I went to, there was someone on each floor. So 3 floors of the building was 3 floors, and every floor I went to, somebody had a story about someone being shot, someone being murdered. And this is a real issue impacting our communities. And now that we have a state where it has been legally drawn and the maps are fair, it's not safe for anyone, it's not allowing the Republicans to have a stronghold, now people will see things move forward and they'll see things change.
So folks want to know more about your campaign, where they go?
I'm sorry, to hear you.
To know more about your campaign, where do they go? What's your website?
Oh, www.sheilafordelegate.com.
All right, then. Well, Sheila Bynum Coleman, we appreciate it. Thanks a bunch, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right, folks, going to a break. We come back. We'll talk about this stunning case out of Baton Rouge. A black woman, 75 years old, activist, killed, stuffed in the trunk of a car. We'll have the latest on Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. All right, folks, MarijuanaStock.org has another great investment opportunity. If you were lucky enough to invest in their last crowdfunding campaign, you know they raised a bunch of money in just a few months investing in legal marijuana farms. Those initial investors now own shares of a publicly traded company. Last time, of course, many of you missed it. Now you have a second opportunity. They have a new investment opportunity that is as good, if not even better, than the last one. I'm talking about industrial hemp CBD. For those who don't know, the hemp plant is the cousin to marijuana without much higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp CBD gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed all of that, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all of their plants, which makes for an incredible investment opportunity. And that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords. And you can get in on the action by investing in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200 up to $10,000. Like I said, you don't want to miss out on the opportunity. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Get in the game, and get in the game now. All right, folks, the black community in Baton Rouge, they're asking questions after the founder of the Baton Rouge African American Museum was found dead in the trunk of a car Friday. Sadie Roberts Joseph was an activist and was well known for annual Juneteenth celebrations held at the museum. Folks have been stunned by this. This morning I spoke with the mayor of Baton Rouge, Sharon Weston Broome, and State Representative C. Denise Marcel on the Tom Jordan Morning Show about how her death is affecting the Baton Rouge community.
Over the weekend, it was stunning. I got a call from some folks down in Louisiana asking me if I had seen this story, which was just extremely tragic. And people are still trying to figure out what in the world has gone on. Sadie Roberts Joseph, 75-year-old sister. She founded the African American History Museum there in Baton Rouge. She was found murdered, her body in the trunk of a car, and was located in the afternoon on Friday. It was just unbelievable. You would like, who would kill a 75-year-old black woman, an activist, historian, who cared about the community? Joining us right now is the mayor of Baton Rouge, Sharon Weston Broome, as well as Louisiana State Rep C. Denise Marcel. Mayor, I'll first start with you. What is the latest on this case?
Well, indeed, Roland, it is a tragedy. I can tell you that our Baton Rouge Police Department has intensified their investigation. We all had a very strong connection to Sadie. I've been knowing her for 30 years, and we anticipate the police department hopefully having a breakthrough in this case sooner than later. I can tell you that they are certainly intensifying their efforts because the police had a very strong connection with Sadie as well. She was well beloved by every organization, every person in this community that knew her.
And when we talk about that, they got lots of tips, but people were also calling in, though. I was reading one of the stories. They were calling in just expressing their love for her, and it was sort of complicating because the cops were like, hey, we're trying to actually solve this murder to figure out what went on, to sort through all of it.
Absolutely. The police department has been on boots on the ground talking with people in the community. But as you said, there's such an outpouring of love and respect for Sadie that has been, overwhelming the narrative that you've heard more than solving the case. So we really want people to intensify their efforts, the community to intensify their efforts with information, with tips, so that we can bring closure to this tragedy. Roland, Sadie, in addition to starting the African American Museum here 18 years ago, almost 20, 30 years ago, she started and was the founder of an organization called CADAV, which stood for Community Against Drugs and Violence. So for her life to end in violence, which she fought against and tried to empower communities to rise up against violence, is certainly a tragedy.
Representative Marcel, you also a longtime friend of Sadie Roberts Joseph. What should folks around the country know about her that they have not learned through media reports?
Well, thank you for allowing me to join you this morning. I want everyone to, I want to echo, first of all, what the mayor has said about her and about her death and what she stood for. But prior to her ever starting CADAV, she was rolling up her sleeves, cleaning up the community, what I want people to know is that she was an awesome woman. You know, people started to know her, I guess, in the last 20-some years for the museum and her work around Kadav, but she has been an advocate in this community since I was a child. What is so disturbing for the people in Baton Rouge is that she was so mild-mannered, so soft-spoken, and so nice. So we're trying to grasp our feelings around and our concerns around who in our community would snuff out her life and not think have a second thought about it in the middle of the day. The crime is running rampant here in Baton Rouge, and I would hope that out of her death, although we're saddened by it, that it would spark something in Baton Rouge to stop the violence that we've seen so much of lately.
Roland,
Today, Baton Rouge police released a preliminary autopsy report saying the cause of death was traumatic asphyxiation. We'll certainly keep her family in prayers and keep you updated on this story as more information becomes available. All right, folks, do y'all remember the story of the Montgomery County, Maryland white female officer using the N-word while talking with a group of black men? Roll the tape.
A record like court date, it means they can't find anything with whatever he rang by. That's what it means. What were you in court for?
Last one.
How many you got?
I had a upcoming acting event June 20th for disorderly conduct.
Where out of?
Hey,
we're trying to, you want to get out of here fast, right? So if we have more people, y'all niggas been trying to something. If you want to get out of here faster, we have more of our friends to help you get out faster. Nope, that's a quote. Those were your words.
Y'all saw the black cop to the left just stand like he writing a report like he ain't paying attention. This is outside of McDonald's restaurant in Silver Spring, where, according to the Montgomery County police spokesman, Captain Thomas Jordan, 4 black men were originally approached by an officer for loitering and trespassing. Well, this body cam footage was released, and the acting police chief, Marcus Jones, is defending the officer's actions, but still called the language that she used inappropriate. He did not say whether the officer in question would face any disciplinary action.
Not. He's defending her actions. If he's defending her,
the woman should not have a job. I mean, the thing is, you always show the crazy ass white people, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
There have to be consequences for this kind of behavior.
Yes.
Using the N-word as you're attempting to do law enforcement, stopping the brothers, I mean, maybe that's okay, maybe not. But the point is that that language is unacceptable. And if she is still on the force in Montgomery County, then the damn chief needs to be fired. And whoever is in charge needs to be fired. This is absurd. Black people are being assailed and assaulted every minute, not only physically, but also intellectually, emotionally. A police officer. You know, I mean, the number of these things, Roland, and you've done a great job in documenting them, but the number of these things that happen on a daily basis it really goes back to the lynchings. These are forms of intimidation. It lets folks know they have no civil human rights. They can be talked to, treated any kind of way, and somebody needs to say enough.
Eugene?
So a couple things here. First is that she proved in that tape that she does not have the ability to effectively police unbiasedly. She needs to be pulled from the force and maybe have her police license revoked. Secondly, the reported cause of this stop was the scent of marijuana. In the state of Maryland, per law a couple years ago, that's no longer probable cause to be searched or to be stopped. So everything after that apparent stop and search for marijuana should be totally discounted. I mean, the abuse of rights is absolutely appalling, especially in quote unquote progressive Montgomery County. And this has to mean the police. It's even more disgusting that the black police chief will come out and defend it. You know, I think the Montgomery County
Blue line.
The Montgomery County Council, our friend Will and his buddies need to, take some very, very aggressive action at their next session.
But the problem is they won't. And you know why they won't? It's because it is normalized to be disrespectful and violent towards black people. and it's normalized for police not to have any consequences associated with that behavior.
Yeah.
That is
Accept it.
normal. And so, you know, I find it very interesting. Honestly, I hate to be, I don't want to call this petty. Maybe it is.
Go ahead and be petty. Be petty Patty on Monday. Go ahead.
Petty, okay. Listen, I'm watching everything that's happening over the weekend, and I'm seeing all these mayors come out and saying that they're going to defy ICE. And I'm thinking, okay, good, you should defy ICE. But why don't you defy your own damn police forces when they are out here murdering black people, and I can't find your ass saying a damn thing about that? How about you defy that?
You know, and Avis, the point is that, as you said, violence, verbal violence and physical violence against black people has been normalized. So your neighbor can shoot you. Your neighbor who, and this whole notion of feeling threatened, anybody who is threatening is these United States is us.
Oh, hold on. I got a good one. Roll it.
I'm white. I got you, Carl. Illegally selling water without a permit on my property. Whoa! Hey! You don't live here. I'm uncomfortable.
IRS security guard in Ohio facing one charge of aggravated menacing after pulling a gun on a Lucas County Sheriff's deputy. The deputy, Alan Gaston, came to the IRS office to ask a question. Gaston arrives in full uniform, badge, firearm visible. Security guard informed Gaston he needed to put his gun in his car, and Gaston said that he could not do that. That's when the security guard pulled a gun on the cop. Gaston decided to leave to de-escalate the situation. The security guard followed him to the elevators and then tried to take him into custody at gunpoint. Y'all, the security guard, fake-ass top-flight security, tried to do a citizen's arrest on an actual cop.
I'm sorry.
He is lucky he did not get his ass whooped.
That's what should have happened.
Someone from the office eventually calls 911, but fails to mention that the man with the gun was a uniformed cop. Gaston and his wife have filed a civil lawsuit against the security guard and the security company, citing emotional and psychological distress. Y'all!
It's not even funny, Roland. I mean, I'm laughing because it's like, it's so incredulous that
you a fake-ass cop
who does not have to pass no IQ test.
Who pulls a gun on a real cop because a real cop got a gun, which real cops carry.
And that white boy, again, economic envy. Economic envy. I got the job, black man got the job that he wish he had.
There you go. That's it right there.
And so he's gonna pull a gun,
physical test.
pull it, because security guards. I mean, they're like, I'm not disrespecting
top flight
guards.
security.
But you know, they're like the lowest of the low. I mean,
look, the use of the overuse.
So now when I go to Macy's next week, don't bother me, y'all.
It's the overuse of special police officers in federal buildings. Agencies like this, which face very real threats, need very real police to actually deal with very real issues. What happened to that guy, the SBOs, he's lucky he did not catch a bullet.
Right.
You know, he's lucky that the officer...
Y'all, look at it. The brother's like, man, look, dog, you straight tripped and pulled a gun.
Roland, get it together. This is so live.
He's straight. Y'all see the brother like, man, you tripping, pulling his gun out. Y'all, he follows him to the elevator. He tries to arrest him.
White privilege.
Now, these two other, he's got a gun and he won't leave. Yo, he's a cop. But now here's what I don't understand. I don't understand why the two white cops don't normally do when somebody messes with a cop, like whoop the security guard's ass. I mean, it happened to black people.
Or, you know, or at least put him in some handcuffs. At least put him in handcuffs. At least say, dude, you out of order, you out of line, you out of control.
He's just fucking menacing. You pull a gun out, that's
You go all the way back to Plessy. Go all the way back to the Plessy decision. A white man a black man has no rights that a white man is bound to
That's Dred
respect.
Scott.
Right.
That's exactly what happened.
That's Dred Scott, 1856.
Well, that's going back in further.
Yeah. So, but and then you go back, you look at the whole trope around lynching. And all of the lynching really was about economic envy and what you call white fear, Roland. You talk about white fear. And so this is what black man comes in, he minded his business. He wants a phone number. All he wants is a phone number.
Y'all, remember the white boy in Virginia, James Alex Fields from Ohio, who was crying to his goat? I really shouldn't go to prison for killing Hella Higher. I mean, prison's so tough. It's rough on me psychologically. He's an avowed white supremacist. They gave his ass life in jail anyway. It didn't matter. Now he got a second life term plus 419 years.
What the heck did he do?
On state charges in court. Last month, he was sentenced to his first life term in prison without the possibility of parole. On federal hate crime charges, he was the one who drove his car into a crowd of counter-protesters during a white nationalist rally 2 years ago in Charlottesville, Virginia, killing Heather Heyer and injuring 19 others. But what got me was his attorney. Prison gonna be rough on him.
They always do that.
It's gonna be rough on him.
Well, you know, they need to put him in a cell with the.
No, I like life plus 419.
Yeah,
I mean, if your punk ass die, you still come back. You got more time. You still come back. You got more time.
You still gonna be in prison.
That's all. I mean, that's the whole deal. All right, y'all. That's it for us today. First and foremost, tomorrow we're gonna, of course, have some of the stuff from last week from the Bahamas, the Gathering Conference of the Global United Fellowship. We are going to hear from Dondre Whitfield and Devon Franklin. We're going to live stream their chat. They talked about manhood. They got real raw in their conversation, and so we're going to have that for you tomorrow. So we look forward to that. I'm sure Donald Trump is going to say something stupid, so we probably got to deal with that as well. But the last point is here. This is very simple. You can be pissed off and mad and angry at Donald Trump, but if you're going to sit your ass at home, you know what you are? You trifling as hell. And so the only way to get this fool out of office is to vote him out of office, which means you got to mobilize and organize. And that's what our focus is going to be. I don't care who is running against him. You could literally put up a chimp to run against Donald Trump, and I'm telling you, the chimp will have a much higher IQ and will get my vote. And so I'm just trying to let you know that right now. And so, and I don't give a damn what Bob Johnson had to say about how the economy is doing well under Donald Trump, the economy that he was handed in perfect condition by the black president. But the reality is we cannot sit on the sidelines and be quiet. Be sure to support Roland Martin Unfiltered, folks, by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. So we look forward to you doing that. And don't forget to get your promo code, of course, discounts to items on our website as well. Eugene, Julian, Avis, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Holla! You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Hey everybody, this is Sherry Shepherd. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, and while he's doing Unfiltered, I'm practicing the wobble. So I am. Because Roland Martin's the one, he will do it backwards. He will do it on the side. He messes everybody up when he gets into the wobble because he doesn't know how to do it, so he does it backwards. And it messes me up every single time. So I'm working on it. I got it. You got Roland Martin.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mac Wiles, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Destiny, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.